So why isn't voice search going to change the world? Now, one of the most common things I keep hearing, all of the stats, all of the data around voice search, everyone says, well, voice search is going to be the new search. We have to optimize pretty much everything for voice and make it so that pretty much everything else can be controlled by Google Assistant or Alexa, Siri, or anything else. Now, I'm not really buying into this. And I completely realize the fact that assistants are great, and assistants could be extremely helpful in terms of actually solving specific problems with Google search, with identifying data, with finding out when does a certain restaurant open or closes, what are the working hours, or some trivia Wikipedia style answers. That's definitely something that the voice search is going to be extremely helpful with. Additionally, voice control devices have lots of other opportunities that they can provide in terms of, let's say, being able to call someone, being able to record a message, just open a camera, take a photo, make a selfie, even start a video like this one here. So these are definitely things that could be solved and could be made possible with voice search. But in general, I don't believe that voice search is going to command the internet. I don't believe that websites should be made optimized and compatible and everything else with voice search, because there are lots of particular reasons why this is not a great idea. The reason number one, and kind of the main thing that I really want to point out, is that at the moment, voice search is extremely selective. And in terms of selective, I mean that essentially it pulls a specific version of a website, just the sneak peek, the featured snippet, whatever you want to call it, and that's essentially what voice search provides to a user. And again, some of the other data points that are being provided, such as working hours or so, they are important. We definitely need to optimize for them, but it doesn't mean that we need to change our entire website or completely kill our monetization or whatever it is for voice search. I definitely believe that this is not going to happen, let alone the fact that almost no website out there is monetizing from voice search as something that could be monetized at the moment. You either have ads or a subscription mechanism or some other form of upsell for software as a service, whatever it is, and kind of most businesses operating this way. Even if you have e-commerce, right now again, assistants are trying to tap into their own market, so you actually have to be selling on Amazon, which is a completely different exercise if you actually look into the concepts of running a voice search electronic magazine or electronic shop at the moment. So other reasons that I do believe that voice search isn't going to last is video content. Right now, video is king. We know how much content is getting produced on YouTube right now, and other networks such as Vimeo, and we do have Facebook Live and YouTube Live and LinkedIn Live and a bunch of other lives out there. And there's a good reason for that. People who want to consume this sort of content, people that want to completely focus and emerge in someone's scenario, they do want to get the complete picture. And the complete picture is video and audio, containing body language and tone and everything else, and the content itself. Unlike textual-based content, which we already have out there, and people who want to read research studies, people who want to see additional information and so forth, they would be interested in actually browsing these on the screen and reading and receiving all the information. Number two, images. How often do you make a buying decision, even if we talk about e-commerce, based on images? Like whenever I look for sneakers or a tripod for the camera or a t-shirt or whatever it is, I want to take a look at a specific model and see if it's going to work out or not. For a tripod, is it tall enough? Is it something that I can bend? Is it something that I can mount a phone holder on it? Is it something that, I have so many questions, so many things that I want to see. And even if they mention every particular part, first off, it's going to be boring. It's not going to be something that really helps me out. And I'm not going to figure out which part is included where in this entire stack. And this is valid for most things out there, because images are important. Images are important for your selling process. That's why we have so many people dealing with creative, with brand images, with brand and product photography and so forth. Go and grab a pizza based on the menu, right? Most people are trying to find the right ingredients, but if you have a photo in the actual menu in a restaurant, and if it looks appealing, many people are going to purchase that, because there is a certain perception that images can emit, that images can present to you as an added benefit to your purchasing cycle. The very same thing goes for pretty much everything software based. How would you make a buying decision or an email client, a project management system, a CRM or so without actually taking a look at the interface? Like, most people are not just going to look for photos and screenshots, but they're going to go through in-depth tutorials showing where you go to solve a specific problem and how are you actually going to solve this problem yourself, and then going to feature tour videos actually going through the entire user experience of this software application. And again, we can't deny that people are making buying decisions even for iPhones and so forth on the way they look, the way they appear, the user interface, and everything else based on UI. That's why voice search cannot really present you with all this information. It's like listening to an audiobook, right? You can, if you have a photo, if you have photos within a book, it's going to be completely different than actually someone retelling you all those stories in the book. That's why people have said a picture is worth 1,000 words. And even if you have those 1,000 words, it's still not going to paint the very same picture. Also, what are the leading networks right now in terms of social interactions? I would say that on top, especially for Generation Z and a good chunk of millennials actually, it's Instagram and Snapchat. Both networks rely heavily on image posts, on stories, on emojis, on a bunch of other visual things that people want to present to each other. It could be kisses or hugs or other forms of exos and so forth, so that they can actually present specific type of emotion and sense and feel. There are tons of games as well, as you may have imagined, especially on Snapchat, that are making it engaging and making people actually spend so much time there. One of the top kind of photography games, Guru Shots, just keeps landing investments over and over because there are lots of people dealing with photography as well. And those are kind of the people who stick around on Snapchat and Instagram and also Facebook and just maintaining galleries and making photography exhibitions and so forth, because this is something that people need, this is something that people enjoy, and those photos are applicable in all sorts of scenarios. If you're a hotel, you want photography of landscape, of your hotel, of everything else. If you're a restaurant, you want photos of your burgers. If you're a sneaker shop, you want photos of your sneakers. That's how buying decisions are being made. And if we actually sum it up, what is the only source other than radio? What is the only digital source that heavily relies on audio? Podcasts. Podcasts are the only source that people are expected to listen in the car, probably aside from audiobooks, but this is kind of a separate entry, that people are going to enjoy in a completely voice-controlled environment. And again, podcasts are great, and this is growing. But this is pretty much only one type of communication that people want to enjoy. This is just a replacement of radio. If you're in the car, you can't really distract yourself with watching photos. If you're boarding on a plane, you probably are going to have limited internet connectivity if you have any sort of bandwidth at all, and then you would need to actually leverage some form of content that helps you, helps put you to sleep, or just while you're chilling you want to consume some form of content. So that's, again, this is understandable. This is another type of presenting information. Podcasts are great, but podcasts are nowhere near the interactions through Instagram or Snapchat, the YouTube videos and any other type of video content, and essentially all the other textual content based out there. So in a nutshell, audio search is great. It is going to keep becoming smarter and smarter. Users are going to rely on audio search more and more. And you definitely need to optimize your website for audio search as best as possible. Probably even bundle additional things such as Amazon Poly that's reading through your blog posts, or exporting them to a podcast and creating an Alexa skill for a podcast that people can actually listen to instead of reading your content. But this isn't going to be the driving factor for your revenue. This is something that Alexa and Amazon cares about because this is their products and their ecosystem and they can sell through them. This is something that Google cares about because they can present tons of different information, but in reality, Google as well hasn't identified how to monetize all this traffic, because right now they have AdSense, they have DFP, they have all those display networks, and they're making a ton of money from ads, and they haven't quite figured out how to monetize this experience. So as a result, this is going to become more and more prevalent for specific things, but textual content and video aren't going anywhere. They are still going to dominate for the most part, so definitely don't give up and don't fall for the ideology that voice is going to control all of us.